Hmm. Hello, everyone. I apologize. It seems to be a little dark in here, but just to get started, because if I worry about the little details, I will never start anything. Not today, and today was my day. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Michelle White. I believe that I have something to share that would definitely be a benefit to someone if they're, questioning themselves as a parent, or if they have a situation with a child that they haven't really been able to, let's say, what I refer to as build a Rolodex of solutions and build off of those solutions. Today, what came to me to share was to judge or not to judge a different parent or another parent, not a different parent, but I mean, everybody's different. So I guess that could work too. Um, Whether or not you're in a position where, let's say, you went to someone's house and their child was doing something that you didn't typically allow your child to do, or if they were having candy at a time that you wouldn't allow, or if they were having a nap and this is not how you did it. um, my question is would you judge that person based on what they were doing? And if you did, or if you do, I want to provide a different kind of set of questions that you ask yourself before you kind of condemn the parent and how they are versus how you were, and what your allowances would be versus what theirs aren't, or what theirs are versus what yours wouldn't be. Um, my first question would be, before you judge that person, if their child is on the floor screaming, or if their child is doing, again, something that you wouldn't typically either approve of, or if you would say, I would never do that, or I would never allow that. And I've said that myself, being in positions, but I found as I kind of got older, and I have three children. No, by no means does that make me an expert. I would never claim that, but I definitely believe that having different perspectives really does help, especially calm the mind, calm the emotions, um, and just kind of give that strength back. So to all the parents that either felt judged because you have a screaming child at the grocery store, to all the parents who, are embarrassed if their children is a little bit more active, or they're running around, or, whatever it is that make you feel uncomfortable, nervous, or, embarrassed, based on everybody's looking at you, or everybody's, scowling at your child and stuff. Like, step back and think about these things. First and foremost, if you're in the position of watching a parent and how they are doing their things, ask yourself, they didn't grow up in the same environment you did. Their parents grew up in a completely different environment. They grew up in a completely different household with completely different parents, a completely different time frame, completely different allowances, in the sense of what they were allowed to do. Um, it is everything to do with the fact that no two people are alike, even though they share likenesses, how they interact and how they receive what's going on, how they process what's happening, how they have processed what's happening in their childhood, how they were taught lessons, how their parents were taught lessons, how their grandparents were taught lessons. Like, when you are looking at a mom with a child, you got to even look at the fact that, did they have a mom? Did they have a dad? Did they have an aunt? Did they have an uncle? What were their values? How did they get the lessons across from the time that they were born to the time that they were actually, at a certain age, where your conversation changes, but the way that you teach your children is the same. You're consistent with how you teach your children. Is just that the language of it changes, in the sense that when they're a baby, you teach them and help them develop in a way that a baby would understand, versus a 2-year-old, versus a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, 16-year-old, and so on and so forth. And to be honest, I'm 43, just turned. Happy birthday to me. Um, how I learn. I'm still a daughter. I'm 43 years old, and I'm still learning how to process things or how to reprocess things that, even in my past and how I was raised versus how other people were raised. The bottom line is that before you look at somebody in the grocery store, or you judge the child, or you I would never be okay with that. Kind of step back and just look a little bit deeper than the surface. That poor parent over there, be it a father, be it whomever is giving the care for a child, again, regardless of the age, look a little bit deeper. They may be stressed. They may need to hear something a little bit more comforting than, oh my God, that child is making me nuts because they're screaming and crying, or they want something, or just look on to other people with kindness, and especially with the ones that you may or may not agree with. It's not really your place to do so. Um, Remove yourself. Just because, let's say, for me personally, I wouldn't bring my I'm gonna unplug this and go sit somewhere. I feel like it's a bit dark. I'm sorry for that. um i wouldn't I wouldn't bring my little one out, not per se if it was their sleep time. You can see the blankets here. Yeah, this is my little guy's blanket, the youngest guy. um I wouldn't bring them out if I knew they were tired, if they were hungry. Well, if they're tired, they sometimes slept, but if they got cranky, we left. I definitely left. I definitely had myself in a position where I was pretty much ready for everything. If there was a fit, or, somebody was upset, or somebody was, I just, whatever it was that I was out for that's causing them to feel like that was never important as it was to maintaining their level of peace. I didn't dictate whether or not, like, I would let them control whether I would go out or not. That's not what I'm saying. Um, what I'm saying is that I knew them. I knew their schedules. I knew how they felt. I knew when they were supposed to eat. And I was just never, thankfully, in that position where they were freaking out at the store, or they were, of any dire straits, so to speak. Um, so I guess the last thing that I will say in this particular very first live, I wonder, look back 5 years from now, if I can share anything that could possibly help anybody, give them that strength that they need to stand up and say, this is it. This is me. This is how I'm going to do it. This is based on what I was shown, whether you agree with it or not. This is in our household. This is our family, and that's okay. Because as parents, just because you're a parent, don't mean to say you got all the answers. You do if you pay attention close to them, in the sense that you learn them as you go. And that's what I referred to as the Rolodex. I'll give you, like our son, for an example. If he's crying, you change the bum, you get the food, you get the milk. And if none of those work, you're holding them. I don't believe holding your baby for any extended period of time spoils them, or anything of that nature. I just believe that they get used to that closeness and that love, and they want more of it. When they want to get down and play, they will. It's just is how it is. I mean, if it doesn't work within your schedule, then that'll be a little bit different. But as they say, hold them a little bit longer, and just do the best that you can with it. um, to all the parents, again, that are worried, your child is screaming really loud in an echoey place. A lady I come across, I went to a building as Erin Oaks. They provide wonderful service and a multitude of services for children. Um, and her little guy was, he wanted to go play in that room where he saw all the kids. And, I don't know if there were toys in there, but it was definitely interesting to that little guy. And he was quite upset about it. And, the place is echoey. It's very, it's not a lot of people in there. And if they are, they're in their respective places and whatnot. So he was screaming, and I could tell she was kind of embarrassed. She didn't want him to be loud. She tried to quieten him and stuff. And I told her, I said, kids cry. Kids will scream. That's how they express themselves. That's how they let you know what they have going on. Whether we like it or not, they're speaking to us. They're speaking to us based on the only ways that they know, and they know that from birth, when they came and they were born and, they cried, we knew what to check. We knew what to check the bum, we knew to check, you know, um, clothing that may be uncomfortable, or they were hungry, or they just needed attention. They wanted to play. Everything that they wanted was basically told to you by a cry or a show of discomfort. Um, and you worked with it. When children start getting older, they start dropping you more clues. Um, and by that, I mean, if that little guy cried, clearly he wanted to go in the room and play. Why wouldn't anybody understand that? I understood it. And I told her up front, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. He's a kid. That's how kids get their expression across. So if you're a parent that go out and you're embarrassed a bit and your child is really loud, it's rambunctious, it's sorry, they are rambunctious, or they're crying for an item that they can't have, and you have your mindset and know they can't have it and they're crying for it, respectively let them have their feelings, because they're obviously not getting their way, or you're doing your best to get whatever you need to get done. Maybe that is your only opportunity to go pick up groceries, or the only bit of time where you got the energy to do it. There's no shame in it. There's no shame in the children crying. There is every opportunity for learning, as far as I'm concerned, learning for yourself, learning for them, based on how you go about handling that situation. And I think personally that is your business. So thank you for viewing the video. Thank you for being here. I will be posting more based on what I have, based on what I get, that pops into my mind in a run of a day. Most of it really came from experiences and stuff, and seeing a lot of women. I feel like a lot of women didn't have the strength in their own voice and their own accord to um, stand up and do what they felt was right for their infant or for their child, or in the face of ridicule from family members or from friends or from just random strangers in a store, because we all know that they can be up in your face too. um, so I think that is definitely the purpose of this channel and the purpose of my lives and putting myself out there. I'm working on writing a book. I'm working on doing a course that will pretty much encompass everything that I would discuss here. Something that you could keep, or that you could have and that you can work towards, because I find that there are a lot of things that I've read and a lot of programs that I've been through. Um, and it really does help to have the questions in front of you. It does help to kind of, put pen to paper, for lack of better term, and take what you're feeling outside of you and put it, or from the inside, and put it outside of you, so you can evaluate it a little bit, put a little bit more space in between what you may be feeling versus internalizing it a lot. And you know sometimes that make you can visualize it and see it and adjust it a lot more quicker, I find, than um having it just circle around inside and just keep going and going and turning, and there's not really a solution for it. Once it's from the inside out, you 9 times out of 10 will see either that it's not that big a deal. Yes, that happened to someone. Yes, there are people that understand, in the sea of people that won't. I mean, even for me, I'm putting myself out there, and I know that there's going to be people that cannot just scroll on by if they disagree with something. And again, you guys are most welcome to disagree with anything, or you are most welcome to have a different perspective built on top of my perspective, or a different experience that gave you the similar perspective. You are most welcome to share it. I welcome it, because through that way I grow too. And maybe it opens my eyes to something that I would have never had my eyes open to unless I put myself out there. Um, People, whether they disagree with you or not, they cannot just scroll by. Sometimes they have to put in that comment that kind of, takes a jab at somebody else and the purpose and what they're trying to do. I understand that. I feel like that is not so much about me, but that might be a little bit more about them and their ability to kind of grow past certain things, I guess. But the bottom line is I'm not afraid to do it. I will be here. I will definitely submit more things based on the fact that I know someone out there. It will help them. It will help them come out of that pit of despair. It'll help them from feeling that embarrassment really quickly, because in their mind they're going to say, you know what? They're just a child. And if as an adult you can't have a bit more compassion, a little bit more understanding, whether you have kids or not, you were a child one day. One day past, obviously, but you too were that child. You too used your expression of frustration and happiness or whatever it is through ways of screaming, through ways of crying, through ways of getting your point across. There is nobody that come into this world that didn't go through them phases themselves. So whether or not they have patience for the ones that are going through that, that's on them. That's not up to you to even concern yourself with. So that's the first live. And again, thank you.